Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Saturday Morning Coffee with Back to Basics Dog Training. For those of you who don't know me and those of you who do know me, I'm Leon. I'm the head trainer here at Back to Basics Dog Training. And each and every Saturday morning, I bring you this live, free dog training session. It's an interactive live Q&A. So if you're watching me now, live in a living color, or later on in the replay, shoot me a comment. Let me know you're watching. Any of your questions, of course, you can put now. Again, when we're live, you can put your questions. And later on the replay, I do watch these, go back and look at the comments throughout the week to try to answer every single comment or question that we get. But this week, like I said, as you can see, I got the headphones on this week, not my normal attire. We do have a special guest. You guys have seen her comments on my Facebook Lives. Good morning, John. This is Donna, better known as Stark's mommy. Stark is a dog I had the privilege of working with when I was up on Long Island. Donna and her family, an absolute privilege, a pleasure to work with them. But you guys hear me talk about the training and what Back to Basics offers, and Donna and Stark and her family are living proof. So what if we stick with the plan, the methodology, the theology, whatever ology we're talking about, how we can have some success with some of the dogs that people are ready to give up on. So I'm not going to take a lot of my time talking. I'd rather you guys hear from somebody who's used my methods. And we're going to introduce Donna. Donna is from Long Island. I think the weather's kind of crappy there, but let's bring Donna on screen here. Good morning, Donna.
Good morning.
There is a little delay with Donna's audio, I noticed, so you'll see the mouth move and then the words will come out. Just be patient. That's the wonderful world of internet. How are you? I know the weather up there seems pretty crappy today. Uh,
Yes, not the best day, but it's okay.
yeah,
We
that's
need a
all
little
right.
rain for the nice green grass and the
There you
flowers.
go. So again, anybody who's watching has probably seen Donna's comments. Donna's on virtually every week. I've been doing this live platform for over a year now, probably getting close to 2 years now. And you and your family are usually on every week. Unfortunately, your husband couldn't be with us today. He's working and, to pay for Stark's
Yes.
food. Um, but, Donna, I'm going to let you take over. To start, I'm going to give a little background to Stark just so people have an idea. Stark was a dog that was adopted to another family before you guys got him. Um, and I had the privilege of working with Stark in that home, and it wasn't the best fit for Stark. Stark at that point was under a year old, I believe. He was a puppy. He was probably about 6 months old when I first met him, maybe a little younger. High energy, typical happy-go-lucky goofball, um, with no understanding of any rules to survive in a Cuban home. I mean, that's how he was. He would bite the people he was with, not viciously biting, play biting. And they lived in a condo type of environment, so he needed to be walked. He didn't have the yard. Good morning, Andrea. How are you? And Andrea, do you see the comments, Donna?
I do, yes.
Okay. So
So, good morning.
people people giving you a shout out. Um, so it wasn't the right environment for Mrs. Stark. It was three young ladies living in the home, and they ended up giving the dog back to the rescue. And this is where Donna and her family, Rich and Alex and Brian,
Yes.
yes, Brian got you know ha- ended up adopting Stark. Um, so I'm going to let you take it over from there. The rescue group got them the dog, and tell them the process you went through before you reached out to me and how you found me and things like that. So
Okay,
I'm going to
so
put you.
okay, so we adopted the Stark through a rescue, and when we reached out to the rescue, we had asked for specific information regarding Stark, just because um, we are a blended family, and my husband was concerned. He had some fears growing up, and there were just certain types of dogs he was not just didn't want to have, and just because of fears of when he was a child, he had been bit by a dog, and then there was other types of dogs that he had just heard. He felt that their behaviors in general could be a little more on the aggressive side. So we had asked the rescue specifically, just wanted to make sure that Stark was not this type of dog, because what we had read about Stark was that he was loving, he had high energy, and that he was a mix. And although his picture may have looked a little pit bullish. They said he was not pit bull, and they said that over and over again. So we got a chance to meet him. We fell in love with him. He had these beautiful, soulful eyes, and we went home, and we were told that we had to come and pick him up the very next day if we wanted him. So we ran out, and we had gotten all these things like crates and things to get him home the next day, and we brought him home. And when we brought him home, we were like, okay, first night didn't go too bad. We could do this. We're good. And then by the second night, my husband and I found that we didn't know what we were doing. Yes, he was crate trained. We were like, wow, this is great. And yes, he was toilet trained or potty trained. Like, okay, and these are things that people complain about and have a hard time with. So we had to count our blessings. But they said that he could maybe be a little mouthy. And I have to say, it's not at all what I would have thought would be considered mouthy. And so my husband and I spent many, many times outside on our front porch, away from our children, and or upstairs in our bedrooms in tears, actually, because we were like, did we bite off more than we could chew? Like, what do we do with this? He had what we thought at the time was he seemed. We're like, is he aggressive? Is that not aggressive behavior? That's not mouthy. He looks like he's trying to bite. We're just not sure. And so I called back the rescue, and I explained what we were seeing, like the behaviors that we were seeing in Stark. I explained what it was that how we were reacting, what we were trying to do proactively, and then what we were doing reactively. And the person that I spoke to said, "Oh, you're doing everything that I would recommend or that we would recommend for you to do." So I said, "Listen, we're not looking to return him in any way. I just want to know what else we can do." And then I called a second time, and I mentioned all of this again, and I said, I said, "I just wanna let you know, when adopting out dogs," I said, "I really think that you should be a little bit more honest and forthcoming when you say mouthing, because I really don't necessarily call what he's doing mouthing. I kinda feel like it's a little more on the that fine line of, maybe biting." And, she said, "Oh, okay," and she really was not in disagreement with what I was saying. Um so then, good morning, Michelle. And then, so from there, she said, you did mention something about a trainer. She said, I think you should try and give Leon a call. She said, I think I'll make sure we get that number out to you in some kind of a packet. And I said, oh, a packet. She said, yes, we gave you a list of names of trainers that you could use in a packet. I said, oh, okay. And so I called and reached out to Leon. Unbeknownst to me, that poor Leon had been sick. So I had been trying to reach out to Leon. And I thought, oh my gosh, did they give me the wrong number? Because I had been calling and I had texted, I emailed. I mean, I had tried Leon for a week and I felt so bad because this poor man, I had no idea till later when I finally got in touch with him that he was sick. It had gotten so bad in our household that my husband got involved and called, I think, Leon, or emailed Leon saying that my wife has tried to reach out to you for a whole week and
Hmm.
we really need your help because our dog is really out of control at this point. It was getting to the point where we were sitting there saying to ourselves, okay, is it almost 8 o'clock? Can we take him out for the last pee and then put him in the crate? Because we were getting to a point where we were just like getting uncomfortable because we just didn't know what to do. We were really looking for help. We were calling around to other trainers. We just didn't know what to do, and we were in tears several times over this, and we didn't want to give up. It would be like if you adopted a child. When you adopt a child, you adopt a family member into your home. You don't give up on them. It's you have to fix who you are. You have to fix the environment. You don't give up on a family member. You fix the environment. And we just we just didn't know. We were really lost. We were really, really lost. And I'll never forget, I was driving my daughter up to Potsdam, and I was in a hotel room the first time Leon ever reached back out to me. And Leon spent I know it's gonna seem like I am the Leon show myself because Leon spent over an hour on the phone with me, and he knew exactly who I was talking about. It came out that he had actually been the trainer that had worked with Stark in his previous home, which I didn't know. He knew exactly who I was talking about. It blew me away. He knew every behavior I was mentioning. He knew. He knew it. It was amazing to me. And even more importantly than that, The man took over an hour of his own time, didn't charge me a cent to do this. And I just felt at peace when I got off the phone. I felt like, oh my goodness, somebody understands what I'm talking about, what we're going through. And we set up an appointment. And when he came walking through our door, he said, the only thing he said to us, I just want Stark on a leash when I walk in the house. And I thought that to be so odd. Now I understand it. But then I didn't understand the leash is a tool. What do you mean the leash is a tool? What does that even mean? I just didn't understand. Um, but when you walked in the door that morning or that afternoon, Leon, it just my whole family was in awe. And I think if I'm not mistaken, I think my husband and I were here. I think Alex was home that first day.
Yeah.
Um, Brian was not, and Stark just stood there. He didn't move. Leon, and that's where you came in as far as in Rich's eyes, my husband's eyes, is the dog whisperer, because Stark, who runs around our house and was basically running the show, he just sat there. He looked at you for guidance. He looked at you for he looked at you for the control. He wanted you to tell him what to do and where to go and what to do next. And it didn't matter if you had been seen him before. It was you didn't live with him. So how in just 2 minutes of walking through our door could he look at you? And that made us all believers that minute. It wasn't that you walked in here and had any aggression. You just walked in and you controlled the whole show.
And just for a backstory, the last time I had seen Stark before I saw him in your house, he had a different name. I don't remember the name anymore.
Harley.
Harley,
No,
right?
Harlan. Harlan.
Harlan, right. When I had seen Stark slash Harlan, it was probably 6 weeks between my visit when he was in the first house to till I got to you, and unfortunately, like you said, that's when I
We
started.
actually we took him home on his he was 6 months old the day we took him home.
Right. Um, I started having my sinus infection issue when you first reached out to me, and I'm still dealing with it. They keep telling me I need surgery. I'm just like, yeah, no.
Uh,
Um, and the beauty of it is that because when I first walked into your home, I focused on you and Rich. I didn't focus on Star. And I think
no.
that's the biggest mistake people make is when they walk into a home with a dog, they focus on the dog. And I've said this before. People got to learn to ignore the dog and deal with the people because that's who we're there for. People come to my house and not here. Well, most people come here to see Zoe, I think, not me. But you're going to somebody's home, you're going to meet the people, but we focus on the dog, which actually triggers the dog's reaction. And Stark got it. And that was the beauty of it. And the look on yours and Rich's face, I don't remember if Alex was there or not. I think she was.
She was. She was.
Yeah. Um, was just like, why isn't he doing what he normally do? He's making me look like a liar, type of routine.
Yeah.
Um, and then it was more. It. I don't think in the first hour I did. I don't even think I handled the leash from him, if I remember correctly. I think I let you
No,
guys.
you didn't. I think we just really sat there and we just talked. We talked about what our concerns were, the behaviors that we were seeing,
Mm-hmm.
and you really talked more about energy and I think at first for us, and the other thing you did ask me to do while we were on the phone before you came to the house was you wanted me to watch the YouTube video, which was the one with the threshold management
Yep.
and the
How
walking
to
the
leash.
dog, which
Well, how to leash train your dog back then? It was mastering the walk, but again, nobody puts it.
yes, and honestly, I mean to me that still is the ultimate because to me the threshold management is the because for me and for my feel like that has given each one of us such confidence as the master to Stark versus Stark being the master. Like we're the ones that are in control because it's not about just walk. I mean, yes, I understand what you say about it saves many lives of dogs. Yes, I agree. But I think even before that, I just truly believe it really helps you as a dog owner, as a dog parent, or however you want, whatever anybody wants to phrase it as, it just helps you feel confident with your dog that you're the person or you're the person that's in control. You're the one that's putting the control in place. It's not the dog. Like the dog needs to look to you. And honestly, the dog really wants to. Like Stark does look to us. It's funny because when we take Stark out, like on a day like today where there's wind, At night, when there's shadows, when there's strange noises, he gets skittish. He really does. Believe it or not, he really
Oh, I
does.
believe it.
So when we're outside, he's looking to us and he prefers not to feel that he's protecting us. He prefers to look to us to protect him almost. So when we're before we walk out that door, if we still to this day make sure that we're following that threshold management piece before we're walking him out to the backyard or outside the front door, he prefers it. He likes that. He's looking for that. Even this morning, before I put that e-collar on, he's sitting there with that big smile. He's waiting for it. The tail is swooshing across the floor as that e-collar is going on. And there are people out there, and Rich to this day, I will tell you, Rich, as much as he'll ask Alex or myself, did you put that e-collar on him? Rich will not put the e-collar on, but he knows how beneficial it is to Stark and how beneficial it's been to all of us from part of Stark's training.
Now, why doesn't Rich want to put it on?
I think there's a fear that he may not do it right.
Okay.
That's why. I think that's what it is.
So that was a good segue. With Stark, we did a lot. We did a lot of work with Stark. You guys did a lot of work. Let me rephrase that. I just, like I said, I don't do the work with the dogs. I guide you to work with your own dog. It's a better way to do it, in my opinion. Dog training, I've said for years, is the biggest BS story out there because it's not me training your dog. It doesn't matter if your dog. Stark listens to me. I can go there right now, walk in, snap my fingers. Stark will do whatever I ask him to do. That's
Yes.
90% of the dogs I work with. And it's not, good morning, Sean. I hope I said Sean. Sean? I hope I said that. Oh, we got a question. Um, bear with me because we're going to read the question. It's a long one, too. Uh, Garson's learned many commands so far. He's 4 years old, rescued him at 8 months, but he still does not see me as his master. He still does what he wants half of the time. I'm always in a calm mode and teach him, but once he sees another dog, all bets are off. He does not look to me when outside. He's already great with threshold management, though in the weight command, and I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. Um, okay, so again, I kind of like that sentence that you're always in a 8 months. Oh, okay. Um, always in a calm. I tell, and I know I said this to especially Rich, and he's not there to defend himself, so it's easy for me to pick on him. You can tell me you're calm all day long. The dog's going to know the truth, and I know we've had this conversation, Donna, with you and Rich, and probably Alex and Brian too. Um, it's not if you're consciously thinking you're calm, you're not, and I hate saying it that
Correct.
way. It's got to be a true inner peace. I don't know if that's the right words, but um, and it's also when you're dealing with a dog that's reactive outside, and we did do this with Stark, and I have the videos to prove it because we worked with Zoe with his reactivity to lead. It's catching the unwanted behavior, the reaction towards the dog
Before.
before the explosion. Um,
Yes.
and if people can start learning to do that, if you wait for the explosion, I've said this before, it's very, very hard to control the explosion. Um, it's almost impossible. Even for me, who's been doing this for 1,000 years now, what I did with Stark when we worked with him and Zoe is as soon as I saw that little bit of change with Zoe, my daughter and Zoe came around the corner. Stark didn't see him at first, her at first. Then all of a sudden she caught, oh, and then right there I corrected. As soon as I saw that little bit of a change, and I disagreed with any reaction at a very low level. And I think that's what, Andrea, you need to do is try to catch it at a very, very low level because you can unlock the brain easier. So when you're walking, you see the dog first. If you start in any way getting tense, tightening up on the leash, oh my God, my dog's going to react. You can create it. You just got to look at it and say, great. And this is, I think, one of the things I shocked Donna and Rich about is when Zoe came around the corner to me, it was like, yes, here's the teaching opportunity instead of saying, oh crap, my dog's going to react. Um, and if you correct those behaviors, those unwanted behaviors, very early before the explosion, you're going to see you have a lot easier time doing it, but you have to do it consistently. I think we did that walking back and forth thing probably 15, 20 times.
Yes, and then before we brought them into the backyard, and I
Right,
have to
and
tell you, and there are days with Stark too, that, like, he could be great, 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 and there are other times that he is more reactive when we're outside and we pass a dog. So, knowing Stark, I know, like, as soon as I see his ear move a smidgen or his head move a smidgen when I see another dog, I just know I have to correct it, like, immediately before it becomes something.
right,
If his ears are a certain way and it moves at all, I just know it, and it's not from the wind. I know, and I have to correct it. So,
right. And
and I know
Andrea,
sometimes depends on my mood.
right. Andrea just said that's me. Yeah, because you're premeditating what's going to happen. And like I tell people all the time, if you can predict the future, pick me the winning lottery numbers, please. You know,
Right.
um, but it's just you got to, what I tell people to do, Andrea, in this case is what I would say is try to walk really don't focus on your dog so much because that's tension, but look at how your dog walks without any distractions. Learn that gait. Look how he
Yeah.
just struts, struts, struts. That's what you want to focus on. You want to see that, and then when you see that little change in that gait when he's walking because there's another dog, as long as you're not tensing up, you see that little change. Like Donna said, it could be the ear, it could be the head, it may slow down, whatever it may be. At that point, boom, no, we don't do that. Sit down, sit, give them something else to do. Within, I would say, less than a half hour, I was actually walking Stark on one side, Zoe on the other side. And I just went, if I remember correctly. And
Correct.
that's when I made the determination um, with that to take them into the backyard. And once we got into the backyard, they coexisted. They didn't. They interacted a little bit. There was no playing. They were neither one of them was really wanted to play. They interacted. They passed each other. They did. We supervised, but there was no issue. My only issue I had at that point is the tension I saw down in Rich when I did this,
Yeah.
and
No,
I
and I
tried.
know it is me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually I think if I remember correctly said you guys go on the deck. I'll stay in the yard with the dogs. I think I used Alex and Samantha to help us, and you and Rich I kept
And
away.
Brian, actually, I think Brian was there too.
Yeah. And I had to keep mom and dad away because they were just, you could see, like I always said, I could have
Hmm.
broken 2x4 over their back. And I think they were just so nervous. And that energy could have created a disaster I didn't want. And Andrea, that's the same thing. If you're premeditating that your dog, I forgot, Garson? Yes. Uh, Garson is going to react before he reacts. You're going to create the reaction. So it's just about, great, another dog, bam, no, sit. But that no nonsense approach that I have, that no anger, no frustration, calm, assertive energy fixes these issues. Um, Donna, I'm sorry, Michelle, who's another frequent flyer here on Back to Basics, Coffee with Back to Basics, or Saturday Morning Coffee, whatever this is called, uh, basically said she can relate, Donna. We when we adopted Athena from the shelter 2 years ago, I had no idea she would terrorize us. She was aggressive and bit me many times. Anyone else would have returned her to put her down. The only thing that has worked is the time and the e-collar with Leon Guidance. And we're going to get into a little bit of the tools in a bit because, Andrea, I want you to be open to suggestions on tools. Tammy, welcome. I don't remember seeing Tammy here before. Um, I have my baby 4 years, and she is now only starting to jump in the bed with us. Only stays 5 minutes, but it's better than 0 minutes. Okay. Guys, I have no problem with dogs being on bed. I'm not sure where that one was going. If you invite your dog onto your bed or onto your couch or onto your chair, that's fine. If they make the decision to jump on the bed or I have an issue with. You should invite them on. Nothing in your home is theirs, not their dog bed, not their crate. You own it all. You paid for it. So if you invite them onto the furniture, that's one thing. And if you choose not to invite them onto the furniture, that's okay too. It's your decision. Um, Hello, Susan. How's my Hope girl doing? No, yeah, Hope. Um, so, again, if she's on the bed 5 minutes and she's comfortable, a big mistake I see a lot of people make with their dogs, especially when it comes to sleeping with them, is they force the dogs to do it. I want my dog in my bed. You're going to stay in there, and you can actually create such a nightmare for yourselves. So, the dog is entitled not to go in the bed if it doesn't want to. One of my personal dogs was a dog you couldn't snuggle with. If you try to snuggle with her, she was the best dog in the world. You try to snuggle with her, she may nip your nose. She didn't like it. She didn't like being hugged. That's okay. Each dog has their own personality. Um, Michelle says we need a trainer with a dog. Or oh yeah, she is still very dog reactive. We're not able or willing to walk her. It's dangerous for us because she's such a strong dog and can't redirect. Again, muzzle conditioning, guys, is the best thing. Muzzle conditioning takes away 90% of your fears. Um, um, if you put the muzzle on the dog, you tend to relax. I just did a Zoom training with people that volunteer at a rescue who has a dog that's very fearful and it reacts with the bite because it feels it has to protect itself. And we talked into muzzle conditioning, and within the first day of going out with the muzzle, it was a difference because the human relaxed. Athena's problem is she's a strong dog. So what I would suggest, Michelle, is do a dual leash theory with her: two collars, two leashes. Um, you're walking her, Rob's walking her. This way, you have the physical strength of two people because she's a mastiff. She's a big, strong, powerful dog. And if you can't physically control Rob's backing you up, and vice versa, that may be the way. I know you're using the e-collar. You got to time your e-collar, and we're going to talk about those a little bit because Donna, you've had such a huge success with the tools of the industry, if
Yeah.
used properly. Linda says, Michelle, I agree. Buddy is the same way. I need Leon to come and work with him on walks. He is fine until he sees the dogs, people, cars, etc. Linda, reach out to me via text. Um, I know it's been a little crazy for me recently, personal issues, and I apologize to anybody who has left me messages. Text me at my 631-514-9128. I'll put the number up again. As a matter of fact, I'll put it up now. Don't mind me while I fumble with my computer here. There's always ways to get me. That's the best way. Susan Fox, I think she's another new viewer here. My Doberman is creepy. Sleeps under my blanket sometimes. I wake her up to her standing over me, just staring into my face.
Yeah.
That would creep me out too if my dog did that. I kind of would say I don't like that because if they're standing over you, it could be a dominant position, and it's the last thing I wanted, especially on a stronger breed like a Doberman. Standing over me would kind of tell me that the dog doesn't deserve to be in the bed at this point. I definitely don't like dogs sleeping under the covers. They do overheat, and if they feel trapped at any point, having a bad dream like they do, it could be kind of nasty. So even Zoe, who likes being under the covers, I tend not to let her under the covers because, again, if she feels trapped and she's having a bad dream, it could react in a bite at the closest thing. So be very careful with that, guys. Uh, I don't have a muzzle conditioning video. I'll do one. I have to do one with Zoe. I was telling Donna before we went live, I'm going to be coming up with a different type of studio where I can do some better work. Where the software I'm going to use will give me multiple camera angles, and that'll be the easiest way to do any of the conditioning videos that I talk about. Because like here, there's almost this is what you see. I need different camera angles, so we're going to work on that. So hopefully in the next week or 2 weeks or maybe a month, I'll be coming out with some really interesting videos that'll help you. But I want to talk about the tools and for the people that do have problems walking their dogs. Um, and I wish the gentleman that I've been working with his emotional sport dog was online with us, but I know he's busy today. Um, I think the first tool we introduced to Stark was the prong collar.
Yes. Well, first we tried to use the leash, but the
This,
leash
right,
was too challenging. We started to have a lot of problems with the leash.
right,
And then we went from the leash to the prong collar. And then we realized that to use the prong collar, we needed the leash. So then we went to the e-collar.
right. Um,
Um,
so real fast, I'm going to say this because this happened with a family member, one of my grand dogs actually. I can walk my grand dog Brody, who's a red nosed pit bull, powerful boy, cute as can be. Um, I can walk him no problem. I can put him on a piece of thread around his neck, and I can walk him. He'll stay by my side. I use a slip leash with him. He is phenomenal on the leash. My daughter couldn't walk him with the slip leash, and I think if I remember correctly, I had no problem controlling Stark on the slip leash. You guys had a problem. So we went to the prong collar, and how many people, including the gentleman I'm working with right now, when I put the dog on a prong collar, think it's a miracle drug because the dog automatically changes that quick. The pulling stops. I don't remember if we had that quick a success with Stark.
We no, we did not have that much success with Stark with that. Even with that, I think Brian did better with the the slip leash, but I still think we did a little bit better as a family as a whole. Brian did best with it, but I think we still had problems. It was just such games with him.
Hmm.
I remember sending you a lot of videos with us, especially like Alex, and I wasn't probably on the video because I didn't have anybody to video me. I would video Alex more than anything,
Hmm.
but he was really giving us a hard time on the leash.
Well, I
He
remember
really did.
even when I brought Samantha to your house once, and I had her take the leash because I wanted to show you and Alex that it wasn't that I'm a 6'5" guy that's handling Stark. Brian's
Right.
Brian's a big boy too. I mean, and so
Yes.
physically we can handle Stark. What I want to show wasn't. I remember Stark gave Samantha the same thing, jumping up, trying to bite the
Yes.
leash, trying to bite not
Yes.
bite.
When you went to the other side of the fence, so Samantha was in the backyard, and once you went to the front yard, that's when you saw it. Because when you were in the backyard with Samantha, Samantha had nice control over him. But the minute you went to the front while she had him in the back on the leash, you saw the
Yeah.
same thing.
So as soon as I walked away and my energy dissipated, for lack of a better term, Stark's like, "Okay, I got this," and he took control again. So it's
Yes.
very normal, and I need people to understand that it's very normal. Dogs are going to do this. Zoe knows she can take advantage of my wife more than she'll ever try to take advantage of me. They know they're not stupid. Um, but Samantha was able to get control because she's unfortunately has to live with me, so she understands the rules. Um, he gets. I'll get to that in a second. Um, so we used different tools to start to find out what was going to work for you guys. And if I remember
Correct.
correctly, when I first introduced the prong, I don't think you guys were thrilled with it because it looks barbaric.
No. Well, I think it looked barbaric, and I was just so thankful that you physically showed us
Right,
how to use it. Like you modeled exactly what it should look like and
right.
how there was a disagreement, like as far as like you had to disagree while Stark was you were utilizing it with Stark. So I was glad because when Stark made a little yelp and you didn't tug on him or anything, he just was uncomfortable, so he yelped. And so that was really hard at first to watch, but to see how it progressed. So then while you stood there and I was holding the leash and walking with Stark with it, I was just happy that you were there so that you got to see I had to disagree while Stark was wearing the prong collar. So I just needed you there to guide me to make sure I wasn't
Hmm.
hurting him in any
Right.
way. Because I don't want to misuse a tool. I want to make sure I'm just using the tool correctly. So you were there and you guided me through it and it was fine. And I have to tell you, once I was able to use the prong collar, I could walk Stark. And honestly, that's all of our tools. I mean, that's our preferred tool when we walk Stark is actually the prong collar, not really the e-collar.
Hmm.
Um, we prefer the prong collar to do a walk with him, and it's amazing. It is. I mean, I texted you a text that like I had a horrible day at work, and the best part of my day was taking him for a walk. I mean, I barely was holding the leash that day, and it was just the most relaxing part of my day was just taking him for that walk. I mean, it really is one of those things that you just look forward to. And like I said, our kids take him for 2 mile walks now, and it's just put the prong collar on and go for a
Go.
walk.
Right. And I'm glad you said that because I actually forgot about that part because we worked in the front yard that day with the first time I put the prong on him, and I
I
did
just want
forget
you to
about it.
know, I just said the W word, and the ears just went up like you can't even imagine right
Um,
now.
so when we put the prong on him, and I did it first, and he did let out a yelp. And I tell people all the time,
Yes,
don't misinterpret the sounds the dogs make. Growling doesn't mean they're aggressive. Yelping doesn't mean they're hurt. And that was very hard because I remember yours and Rich's expression when he let out that yelp, and I'm like, don't worry about it, just relax, let him go through. And he threw a temper tantrum if I remember correctly
he
at first.
did. He did.
And once he went through all that nonsense, that temper tantrum with the noises and whatever he did, it was exactly like our kids. throwing a temper tantrum. They didn't. I didn't let him get his way, and he realized, okay, this really didn't hurt me. And then I was able to start walking him back and forth, and eventually pass the leash on to you, and you were able to have success. And the prong has been a
Correct.
tool that I've used. Good quality prongs, guys. I got to say this: be careful of the prong tools that you buy. Don't buy the crap at the big box stores. I got to be careful what I say. Um, a lot of that stuff made in China and Japan is garbage. I would never use it. There's good quality stuff. If anybody wants to know, shoot me a comment. I'll give you the name of the prongs that I use. Um, they're much better quality. They will not hurt the dog if used properly. Tools will
Correct.
never ever hurt your dog if used properly. And eventually, we graduated to the electronic collar. I'm not going to use the S word because they are not the ones I use. Again, guys, there's a difference between the $50 one on Amazon and the ones I buy. The ones I prefer are not shock collars. And if I remember correctly, I made you, Rich, and everybody put it on them before we put it on Star.
Correct.
It
And I've
doesn't.
had to call the company of the e-collar that we
Mhm.
use, and they've been wonderful, 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 wonderful people. I mean, I've called them. I've had because Stark has a lot of allergies and like the skin conditions that he has, and I've called them. They were wonderful people, and we've talked about, through some things, and they helped me figure some things out. So it's a wonderful company too, just so that you're
Oh yeah,
aware.
it's e-collar technologies. I have no problem. That's the brand I prefer. And there's two brands that I like in e-collars. One is Dogtra, one is e-collar technologies. And the reason I lean towards e-collar technologies is because of their customer service. Not, I'm the one who buys
They're
them.
great.
I'm the one who buys them, but they support my customers the way I want to support my customers. And so that it goes a long way. And the e-collar guys, again, to me, it's just a leash without a rope. It gives me the control if I don't have a leash on the dog to make my correction. I can make a remote correction sitting down or whatever. It gives a lot. I am going to do specific videos coming up in the next month or two on e-collars because I think we need to educate the world. But I do got to get to some of these questions and comments we got. Andrea says he gets daily play dates with a female dog. Is so gentle with them. It's when oncoming dogs daily during the daily walk. He barks and drags me right over to them aggressively. I've switched to the slip leash and he still drags me. Okay, so you switch to the slip leash, which is great. And I'm going to tell you now, if he plays with this female dog and it's great play, even my dog Zoe on leash reacts differently when she does when she's off leash. When she's on leash and a dog meets her face to face with the wrong energy, she is going to growl and nip at the air. She's not an aggressive dog. She's just saying, "Hey, these aren't the rules I like." Um, again, a dog that is leash reactive, that's a happy-go-lucky dog that usually plays with another dog. If that we can create that happy-go-lucky, excited energy by correcting the tension and anger into aggression. So you got to be very careful. That's why it's so important to catch it early. If the slip leash is not working with you, Andrea, definitely reach out to me. We'll talk about doing the prong collar because you will have almost instant success with the prong collar. Um, Next week maybe I'll get this guy Jim, who I'm working with, on just because he's so new in the dog world. This is his first. He's had dogs before. This is his first rescue type dog that needed work, and he lives in an apartment complex. So he has to walk in. Ahsoka is the dog's name, which, by the way, Ahsoka means, oh, what does it mean again? Hold on. Never sad,
Aw.
just so everybody knows. And it was a great name for him to pick for the dog. So Ahsoka is very reactive on the lead, was very reactive to other dogs in the apartment complex. Matter of fact, I met him in a public place the other day, and there were 6 deers in the field, and he wanted to go play with the deer. She wanted to go, and very simple correction. She sat there and she coexisted with these deers. And the deers were 25, 50 feet away from us, but she was able to coexist because when I corrected her, it was that no nonsense approach. Nope, sit. And she looked at me like, but they're over there. And I'm like, dude, you just gotta chill. But I didn't test up about it. I didn't say, oh my God, this deer, her prey drive's gonna kick in. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Because I could have created her dragging me across a field. So we can always talk, Andrea, reach out to me, shoot me a text, shoot me an email. Um, we could talk about the prong collar because I think it definitely would help you. I had a Zoom appointment with you. My dog hates new people and new toys and people and toys to bite every new person that comes in. So it's definitely something we need to readdress if you're still having the issues. So reach out to me. We'll set up something else. Athena doesn't
Le-
redirect us. Well,
I'm just gonna say for Andrea, one of the things that helped me was when you were here and we took a picture of how to connect the the prong collar to the collar. You know how you had that little
the
we have that
carabiner.
little clip. I would make sure if you have it for Zoe at home. I don't know if you have a prong collar at all at
I
home,
do.
but
I do use
I
it. I
would
do use it on Zoe.
if you're doing it through like Zoom and you're showing somebody how to do it, I would take a picture and send that because I still use that picture every once in a while to make sure I'm connecting it. Because Brian took Stark on a run one day and the prong collar like just fell off, believe it or not, but you've never had that happen, only once. So again, to reconnect it all, it would just be helpful for people to have that
Right.
if you're not there to show them how to do it.
Yep. Um, Michelle says Athena doesn't redirect us anymore in the house when she gets excited, which is great because, like I said, she's a mastiff. So when she redirects, it could be painful. Do you recommend we try the prong collar again? Absolutely. Try it again. See how she reacts. Be cautious, but don't. Now, Athena's dog was very reactive, redirection active. I don't even know if that's real English. So when Michelle and Rob were trying to get control back from her, she was like, "Screw you," and redirected. And the prong collar actually triggered a worse reaction. So at that point, let's not use the prong for whatever reason. But now that you're starting to get more control, I would definitely go back to it, see what happens. Don't premeditate what might happen. Think the positive. She's going to accept this prong collar. We're going to go for a nice walk. But yeah, definitely start it in the yard. Always start in the yard, guys. I can't stress this enough. Even Andrea, if you're having problems walking your dog, master the walk in your yard, then bring her out. If you have a friend or a relative that has a calm dog, start your pack walks with a calm dog before you bring overexcited energy with overexcited energy. It doesn't work. That's why I use Zoe so much because she's such a calm dog. So she sets the examples um, for the other dogs, for lack of better terms. But Michelle, definitely try going back to the prong, see what happens. Should I switch to a metal prong collar? This is Andrea or Andrea, I'm not sure. Yes, definitely. Herm Springer, guys, is the one I recommend. I can send you links. What is an e-collar? Do you have to install an electronic? No. An e-collar versus an electronic fence. An electronic fence is something that you put on the ground. Dog wears a thing, and if they get too close to the boundary, it sends off a signal. The e-collar is a remote control leash. So if you can visualize it that way, it's a collar that sends out. The ones I use have a static type of feeling. And if anybody's had physical therapy or chiropractor, it feels like a TENS unit. That thing that stims that they put on you. It doesn't shock the dog. At a higher setting, it's going to be really uncomfortable, but we're not going to use a high setting. What's Stark's working level? 4? 6? I don't remember.
It depends. It's usually like around a 4,
Right. And that's
sometimes
4.
5.
Right. That's 4 out of 100, folks.
Alex, can you pass me the thing?
Um, so 4 out of 100. Think about it. The level goes up to 100. Oops, somebody dropped something.
The Yeah, it's a
So
4.
right, it's a 4. And Stark feels that, and it's not. It's just to get his attention. So it'd be like me snapping my fingers. It doesn't hurt them. The good thing is it works like a leash because if you train it right, I can hit. I don't remember if we did that because I did it with one dog. I don't remember Stark. I had a Rottweiler, 135-pound Rottweiler. I worked it, and I worked real hard on the recall, the come command with this Roddy with the e collar to the point where this Roddy's working level was about 9. He was because he was monstrous. I could just touch the button and he came right to me every single time. And when he made a mistake and he went after something because he had a very high prey drive, I went up, I hit it, I said nope at the same time because the discipline and the feeling and that sound nope have to coexist. I hit it. He stopped dead in his tracks when he was going after something and came right back and sat down next to me. So it's a leash without the rope. And that's how I'm going to teach it. When I do my videos, I'm probably going to piss off a lot of other trainers because they misuse the tool all the time. That's just my opinion. I'm not going to mention anybody's names. Um, okay, I'll text you the prong collar. Great. Sean, we have used a flat leash and my dog refuses to not pull when on leash. She's high energy German. That's beautiful. I love German Shepherds. My husband wants to use an e-collar. But I don't want to turn or regret. Okay, so let's get rid of the misconception. If e-collars are trained properly, um, um, they are not going to cause aggression. No tool will cause aggression if used properly. We put an e-collar on Stark. I'm going to say Stark has not an aggressive bone in his freaking body.
No, and he honestly looks forward to the e-collar. I'm telling you, we when we are charging, we charge it on a specific counter. He will sit after he comes out, his morning routine, goes to the bathroom in the morning. He will go and he'll sit at that counter after he comes in, and he's waiting for the e-collar to be put on him. Happily. I mean, the tail is wagging, scraping across the floor. He cannot wait for that e-collar.
Mhm.
He
Uh,
can't. The picture you put on your Facebook page
yeah,
is him sitting there with Brian and my husband with the e-collar on, very happy. He loves it.
yep. And get back to shore. First of all, definitely get on my YouTube channel. Anybody who is having issues walking the dog, and I say it week in, week out. It's How to Leash Train Your Dogs. It's 5 episodes, and the hardest part for the human when they watch my videos, what I'm finding out, is actually mastering episode 1 before you go to episode 2, before you go to episode 3. Master each episode. Don't jump to episode 5 and see the outcome because you can't get there. Read the end of the book and you spoil it. It's a spoiler. Seriously, master episode 1, master episode 2, and slowly. Don't put time limits on this crap, guys. I can't stress it enough. You put a time limit on it, you set yourself up and your dog up for failure. Each dog is an individual. How Stark reacts to me is different than, and I love Donna and Rich, but if I walked in there right now, he will respond to me a hell of a lot better than he responds to them. And it's not because there's
Still,
magic. Yeah, there's no magic in what I do, but I've lived this no anger, no frustration, no nonsense theory. I'm teaching that calm energy fixes things. Um, Sean, before you go to an e-collar, reach out to a trainer, be it me or another trainer, interview the trainer, make sure they understand how to use an e-collar. I prefer you reach out to me, of course, and we can go through it. There is nothing wrong with e-collars, guys, if used properly. I really want to stress that. Another Donna, asked, can you use an e-collar on a smaller dog Shih Tzu? It's very hard to walk. He reacts to dogs, people. Absolutely. E-collar technology sells a micro, I think it's called, e-collar, which is a smaller receiver. It definitely works on small dogs. I've done it on Shih Tzus. I've done it on, I actually have one on a Chihuahua, I think. So it definitely works on smaller dogs too. It's just a smaller receiver because the big bulky one on a small dog would probably outweigh some of these small dogs. No, great. Definitely, guys, reach out to me for the tools. I am going to, like I said, with this new thing I'm experimenting with right now, I think it's going to give me a lot more avenues to put out more free content for you guys, which I guess I'm not the
yay.
best. I guess I'm not the best businessman because I put out too much free stuff. But I'm gonna be doing my muzzle conditioning. I'm gonna be doing e-collar training. I'm gonna be talking about the things other trainers don't want to talk about because I think people need to be educated. So, uh, wow, time flew. We're at 50 minutes already. Cool. Donna, do you want to have any closing things to help that you found helped you and your family to help you know the other listeners out here today?
I think the biggest thing is I have to say, and Leon did not tell me to say this, but I really say it, and my whole family says it. Leon really did. He helped save us by helping us be able to help Stark. And I look this way because Stark's over there, so I apologize for not looking at the camera.
Okay.
Um, he helped us become more confident in being able to help Stark and give Stark the life and the family that he needs, as well as, I was saying to Leon before we weren't live that, I don't know if Leon, before we had actually had Stark, if Leon would have put Stark with us, if he would have met us first, because Stark really does. Stark high energy and overexcitement gets him in trouble, really, is what it is. And we probably don't have that same energy level that Stark has. um, but you know what? Leon always says you get the dog that you really need. And we really needed Stark more than we probably realized that we did. And so I'm glad things worked out the way that they did. But you really need to know that Leon really will do anything he can to help you and your dog become the family that you all need to be. And so if something's not working for you and your dog successfully, he will help you find the right tools to make that work. So if one tool's not working, so like the leash wasn't working for our family, I mean, as simple as a leash, but it wasn't working. We weren't ready for a leash to work, which sounds so silly right now, but it wasn't working. So we kind of had to do things a little backwards because I use a leash now more as a tool, but I didn't use it in the beginning as a tool because he was just so overactive. Like he wasn't, it wasn't working. So we had to go to something like an e-collar and then a prong collar or vice versa. And so if you use the e-collar, get Leon involved. He'll help you. He'll run you through every single step. He'll be there for you and for your family because he wants it to work. He wants it to be successful. And if you get it and all of a sudden you're not feeling comfortable with it, touch base with him. He'll help you through it. He'll walk you through it. He wants you to succeed. He really does because he wants your family with your dog, your family to be successful. That's what he wants. He really does. He's not preaching this because he doesn't believe it. He believes it and he wants you to believe it and he wants everybody to be just happy and he doesn't want there to be aggression. He wants this to all work. That's what he's looking for. This all to work. So believe him what he's saying. There's really no hidden agenda. This is who he is. This is exactly. He wouldn't be spending an hour every Saturday answering all of our questions with us when he has his own family to be spending time with. So he really means what he says. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be having the dog that we have right now. So he really does care about our dogs and about us. So really reach out and he'll do what he can to help you. I really I believe that. And he did not pay me for this.
Thank you for the kind words. I'm going to leave you guys with a little bit of a story. I know I'm going past where I normally how long this goes, but this actually worked out really good. And I believe everybody can have the dog they truly want and they need. I believe every dog has the capability of being the success stories that I want to hear from my customers and from even from other trainers. I don't care. It's not, there's enough dogs out there. We can all make a living doing dog training. Um, but last night, and I'm going to use this, and I know I talk about Zoe, and it's not fair to everybody else, but I we had a little get together here at the clubhouse last night. There was, I don't know, 15 people, bunch of food, good food, and basically I brought Zoe with me, and the proud papa came out of me because my dog Zoe, with all these people, she went around, said hi to everybody, didn't beg for food, laid down, was part of the group with us. And yes, I put a lot of work into Zoe, and Zoe is as close to as perfect as a family dog as I'm sorry that you can get, in my opinion. But it was a lot of work. It was a lot of effort that I put into the dog to me because that reward, that the compliments I got last night was what I wanted. That, and I don't need a pat on the back. I'm too old for a pat on the back. My shoulder hurts when I pat myself on the back. And remember, a pat on the back is about 18 inches from a kick in the tuchus. So um, think about it. Um, but everybody can have that dog. Zoe's not a special dog. I mean, it's just I put the work and I put the effort in because it's a journey. And Zoe and I have gone on the journey for the last 9 years every day together. And it really does work, guys. And it's because even when she was a puppy and she was this big and she, as my middle daughter would call her, was the demon dog. It was, to me, the demon dog was an opportunity for me to teach her not to be a demon dog. And we've gone on that journey for 9 years. She turned 9 last week or the week before. Um, and it's beautiful to see. And yeah, I'm the proud papa when I take her into those situations, but you all can have that. It's just, what do you want from your dog? Teach your dog what you want. Same way we do for our kids. It's not that complicated. And then, of course, I saw Ann Smith says, "Is there hope for a 3-year-old dog that is not has not socialized with people and been kennelled?" Absolutely. Anybody who's been following me knows there's a dog. Why did I just draw a blank?
Duke.
Duke, thank you. Duke that I worked with, he was in the shelter 2.5 years out of his 3 years life. No socialization. Socialization was restricted to the volunteers. So, Ann, absolutely, if you need help with that, reach out to me. We can do a Zoom session. There's definitely ways to make that happen. I have no doubt in my mind. Something else coming up in the future, which I'll get into. I'm not going to talk about it now, but I did tell Donna we'll be involving how to help the rescues and the fosters do this. It'll be a live thing, so that'll be very interesting. So anybody who's involved in that, then my therapy dog trainer is off chatting most of the time with her friends. We finally stopped going. Yeah, guys, therapy dogs are great. They are. They perform a great service. They go into the retirement homes. They go in to see kids. They do these things. And therapy dog training makes a lot of money. And I'm telling you now, I'm going to get myself in trouble. I don't care. It's that type of day. It's the biggest scam on the face of the earth. Because if you teach your dog to be calm at all times, that's what a therapy dog is. Zoe is not certified as a therapy dog, but I can bring her anywhere and I am not concerned because she knows that people represent calm, other dogs represent calm. Food is not hers for the taking. It's how you teach your dog. And it's such a rewarding thing. She would never, I mean, when Zoe was a puppy, we went to a fair over in Riverhead, and there was a bunch of special needs type of children there. And even as a 5-month-old puppy, she knew not to jump on them. She just knew it. I didn't teach her that. She knew it. She read their energy, said, "Oh, okay," and she respects the elderly. She respects the young. You watch her approach, and I should videotape more than I ever do, because you watch how she approaches certain people in my complex here. She knows what she's supposed to do, and that's because every day we work together. So, guys, take the time, enjoy the journey with your dogs. I say a dog is like a Ming vase. It starts off as a lump of clay, and we make it into a beautiful thing. So, with that being said, guys, Donna, thank you very much. I know you probably had things to do on this wonderful, crappy Long Island day. Is it snowing there yet?
Not yet.
um, but thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your loyalty. You're part of my pack and my family, and you know that. Um, your family has treated me really well, and I appreciate all the compliments you guys give me. But with that being said, guys,
Thank you for all you do. Thank
we
you.
try. Uh, Donna, I'll reach out to you in a little bit. I'll give you a shout on the phone. But we're going to wrap it up here, guys. As always, stay healthy, stay safe. God bless. And remember, where is it? There it is. Together, we can help one dog and one family at a time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. Bye.
Bye bye.